Okay, so I'm going to show you how to set the white balance on the XA10. This shot we've got a set up here. You can see that wall in the background is supposed to be white, but it's kind of a slightly blue colour. If you turn on the camera and set up a shot and you realise that it's quite blue or orangey looking, it means that the camera needs white balancing. So I'll show you how to do that now. So if you press function, go to white balance, scroll down to the bottom and choose either set 1 or set 2, it doesn't really matter which. And then what you do is get something like a white piece of card or white piece of paper, hold it in front of the frame, make sure it covers the entire frame, press set white balance, and you'll see after the icon stops blinking that the colours in the image have changed slightly and look more natural. Okay, you can set white balance other ways if you know what type of lights you're using, whether it's tungsten or fluorescent. You can actually go into function here, white balance, and there are all these presets at the top here. So you can choose automatic, which with the camera will constantly change the white balance as you move from different lighting conditions. I probably wouldn't recommend this because you'll notice that you'll get this constant change in colour as you're walking between different scenes. So it might be useful in some scenarios, but I'd probably avoid automatic completely. The main ones to use would be daylight, fluorescent, and tungsten. If you want more fine control over white balance, you can choose the colour temperature option and actually select the colour temperature of the lights that you are using. Okay, so I'll now show you how to set manual focus on the XA10. For this you need to be in manual mode, so make sure the mode switch is switched to manual. So if we press function and then focus, and then we'll see a small button on the screen marked MF, stands for manual focus. If we press that, see it's highlighted in red. And now this basically gives us control over the camera's focus. So if we use the focus ring at the front of the camera behind the lens here, we can actually see that we can selectively focus on different items in the shot. Okay, the second button we see at the bottom of the screen here is called peak. Now this stands for peaking, and this is basically a function that will help you to get good focus on an object. So if you look very carefully at the screen, there's two things that are going to happen when I turn the focus wheel. The first thing you'll notice is that the screen automatically zooms in. Now this is called focus assist, as you can see in the corner it's saying focus assist here. And what the idea of this is it gets you in closer to the object so you can see whether it's in focus or not. The second thing you'll see happening is as the picture starts to come into focus, you'll see these small yellow areas appearing. See, if we see here, if I go out of focus, they disappear, and then as it comes into focus you start to see these little yellow highlights appearing. So this is called peaking, and basically when you see those little yellow highlights appear on the image, it shows that that part of the image is in focus. So if we go out of focus again, we'll see they disappear and come into focus and they appear again. Okay, the good thing about using manual focus is you can selectively focus on something in the frame. So if I move the camera to focus on this card in the back, and then use the focus ring to get focus on it, wait till the peaking lines appear. There we go, so we see a little yellow highlight there which shows it's in focus. Then we have that in focus. Now we can set up our shot again on the object in the foreground, and there we have the foreground out of focus and the background in perfect focus. So we can do the opposite as well, we can bring in the foreground into focus. Again, just turn the focus wheel, still starts to be coming to focus, and then just slow down and check for that peaking again. So it's right there with the yellow highlights, and now we have the foreground in focus. It's a good idea where possible to use manual focus to set up your shots. It gives you more control over the shot, and you select what you want in focus and what you want out of focus. Okay, the small spanner button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen allows us to change some of the settings for peaking. So these are quite useful features. We can make the image black and white when we're using peaking, which means that the yellow is much easier to see against the black and white background. This won't record your footage in black and white, it will still be in colour, but it's just another assist to help you see if something's in focus properly or not. And we can also change the colour of the peaking as well. So if yellow's not good, by default actually this camera, the highlights are red, but you can make them blue or yellow. So if you're shooting something that is predominantly red, you might want to change the peaking colour from red to yellow or blue, something that will stand out more against the red object. If you don't want to use the focus assist feature, you can actually turn it off if you go to function and menu. In the first menu you come to, if you just scroll down, you'll see focus assistance. You just click where it says on there and turn it off. And this means that when you go to focus manually, the screen won't zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to set manual exposure on the XA10. First we go to function, choose record programs. And then we want to, by default it's usually on programmed AE, but we want to choose manual exposure. And here we have three settings that we can change down the left hand side here. So we have the aperture, we have shutter speed, and we also have gain there as well. So to change any of these, we just use the slider down the bottom of the screen. So there we're closing the iris and opening the iris up. We have shutter speed, so we can increase or decrease shutter speed. And we also have gain here as well. So these settings can be used individually, but they're best when used in conjunction with one another. Okay, so if you tap this button in the middle here, this is the zebra function. So what this will do is it will basically show black and white lines across any areas of the image that are overexposed. So at the moment we can't see anything because the image is probably actually underexposed. But if we start increasing the gain, get some more light into the lens, you may be able to see it there. And what I'm going to do is overexpose it purposely. You can actually see this zebra started to come in, so these flashing white lines coming across the screen, and that shows that area is overexposed. So when exposing the camera, it's fine to see slight zebra where there may be highlights in the image, but we definitely don't want too much of it because that's showing that the image is overexposed. Okay, so now I'll show you how to set up the XA10 for recording audio through the external microphone. So first we need to get the microphone and plug the XLR cable into it. Make sure it clicks into place. Unscrew the screw on the top of the XA10 mic clip and open the mic clip up, and the microphone just sits in, and we can close this over and screw it up tightly. Okay, to record sound from the external microphone, we first need to plug it in. So we need to get our XLR cable, we need the female end, which is the end with the 3 holes in, and our microphone, and the cable simply slots in and clicks into place. Then we place the microphone into the mic holder on the camera and tighten it up on top. Okay, and then the other end of the XLR, the male end, goes into either channel 1 or 2. We'll start with channel 1. So the controls on the other side of the camera now, and we need to set channel 1 to mic plus 48V, which is phantom power. This microphone is supplied with the XA10 requires phantom power, so we need to turn it to mic 48V. The second switch, probably the most important one, is this one in the middle here, INT EXT. Because we're using the external microphone, we need to switch that to EXT or we won't get any sound. We're going to make sure the attenuators are off, so switch that off. And then this channel 1 at the top here, this is the dial we'll use to set the levels of the audio coming into the camera. Okay, so look what happens to the levels on the screen when I move the trim dial up. So we can start to see there's a level on the meter there, It's getting up to sort of the 20 mark now. So it's reacting to the sound of my voice. So I'm just very slowly turning the level meter up until it gets between the 10 and the 0 mark. So approaching that now, as you can see, it's reacting to the sound of my voice. Here we go. So that's at around -10, between -10 and 0 dB. So that's the ideal level you want to be recording audio at. And if anything, you want to make sure that the level is slightly on the quiet side. You don't want the level meter to go up to 0 dB or go past 0 dB, because you will get digital distortion, which is virtually impossible to remove in post-production afterwards. Whereas if you've got a slightly quieter recording, you can actually boost that in post-production. So to make sure the level never hits 0 dB. Something you'll want to do in recording audio is monitor the sound coming into the camera through the supplied headphones. To plug the headphones in, simply take the jack and plug it into the headphone port, which is located behind the screen. There are a few menu settings related to the headphone output. So if we go to Function, Menu, click on the spanner menu and scroll down to AV headphones, we'll see that it's set to AV. Now this is incorrect. This is basically using the headphone output as an AV output to a TV or something like that. So we want to change this from AV to headphones and then just return out of that menu. You'll also notice the next option down is volume, so we can actually change the volume of the headphones as well. So we can turn them up or down. Remember to use the meters on screen to monitor the recording level of the audio and use the headphones purely as reference.